100 case studies or random practice? What actually improves your ethics score? Many aspirants believe that solving a few case studies occasionally is enough. But UPSC ethics is not a paper where improvement happens through theory alone. Think about it. Can you become a better cricketer by watching matches? Can you build strength by reading about workouts? Of course not. Performance improves through deliberate practice. The same applies to ethics. Random practice may expose you to a few situations, but consistent practice across a large number of case studies help you identify patterns, improve stakeholder analysis, develop balanced judgment, and build confidence in decision making. That is why quality practice matters more than passive reading. And that is exactly what the Vision IAS Ethics Case Studies classes are designed for. With more than 100 ethics case studies, structured frameworks, expert guidance, and continuous discussions, the program helps you develop the practical skills that UPSC expects in GS4. Because ethics becomes scoring not when you read more, but when you learn how to think, analyze, and write better. Join the Vision IAS Ethics Case Studies classes starting from 18th June at 5 p.m. For more information, visit our website or call us on the given numbers. Your preparation may look complete, but UPSC Prelims 2026 showed something important. Completion is not the same as readiness. The paper did not just test whether aspirant had read a topic, it tested whether they could think through it. Could they eliminate smartly? Could they connect static concepts with current issues? Could they stay calm when the question was not direct? Could they take decisions under pressure? That is where many aspirants struggle, not because they did not study, but because their preparation stayed in input mode, reading more, collecting more, revising passively. UPSC needs more than that. It needs a preparation system that turns knowledge into judgment. That is what the Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course is built for. Concepts are taught in a connected sequence. Current affairs is linked with static subjects. Tests help you identify gaps before the exam does. Answer writing builds structured thinking for mains. Mentorship helps correct your direction early. Build readiness from the beginning. Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course. Ever wondered what truly separates toppers from the crowd of aspirants? It is not always more study hours. It is the ability to prepare with clarity and continuous improvement. While many aspirants remain occupied collecting resources, toppers focus on a structured approach and consistent refinement. And at the center of this preparation journey lies one crucial factor: mentorship. That is exactly what Lakshya Integrated Mentoring Program 2027 is designed to provide. Starting from 1st June, Lakshya offers a well-defined and mentor-driven preparation framework covering every stage of the UPSC journey, prelims, mains, and interview preparation. Dedicated mentorship support for continuous guidance and strategic improvement. A structured preparation roadmap to maintain consistency and direction. Because preparation becomes more effective when every effort is guided, evaluated, and refined with consistency. To register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session on preparation 2.0. So I'm assuming all of you here who are gathered have appeared for prelims 2026, right? And so your first attempt would be 27. Okay, all right, okay. So basically the objective of this session is that how we can utilize the coming months that we have, right? I'm joined by Shivi ma'am and
hello.
So both of us will be guiding you as to how we can utilize the time in the next, let's say 7 to 8 months. Because what we have learned from this year's prelims examination is that earlier people would say December to May is enough, or January, February onward you can start concentrating on prelims, that was enough. But I believe that's not the case anymore. Looking at this year's paper, we know that we need a dedicated time and effort and an integrated preparation for prelims as well as mains. So in this session, we are going to chart out how we have to do that. on an annual basis, we'll be seeing an annual schedule on a daily basis, how we have to plan our every day. And also we will see how we can link our preparation with the static portion, how we can maximize our learning from the NCRTs, and also what we can do from current affairs. So this was an integrated approach session where we'll be understanding what to do. All right? Okay.
And one more thing I would like to ask from all of you, those who are joining online, please post your queries whenever we are asking anything to be dealt, because we want this to be very interactive session. This is not a usual, teacher-student session. It is more about your queries we are able to resolve, right? So even the online students who are joining us, please post your queries. We will be taking up your queries, and if any query is unresolved, again post the query, right? So before we start, I would like to know that in which stage and state of mind you are in. Like, what is bothering you? Are you a student who has just given prelims for the first time, or there are students here who have written prelims and yet not succeeded in any attempt? So what is the student base like? Kya hai? Haan. Not cleared prelims ever. Okay. I'm assuming that all of you are either those who have not cleared prelims, or 2027 will be your first prelims, right? Okay. And what about the students who are online? They can also tell us so that we are resolving your doubts accordingly. Yes? Okay, so we will be first dealing with this state of mind ki students ko kya bother karta hai jo prelims clear nahi karte hain, है ना? So start.
So we have a spare mic also. If anybody wants to, you have any query in between, or if you want to share your concerns, you can please feel free to do so. Okay. So what is scaring you right now? Like ma'am just said, what is scaring you? Is it the syllabus? No. So syllabus no longer scares you. You're very confident about the syllabus. Okay. Is it the nature of questions that UPSC is asking? Why? Why the nature of questions is scaring you?
They have a mic, but okay.
It is very vast, right? Covering all the questions in that limited time. It's a task right now.
Right.
So that's the main thing. The length of the paper.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah.
Ma'am, I face problem in answer writing. Whenever I try to write answers, I end up opening model answers because I think the demand is not fulfilled, and then I end up reciprocating the same model answer. So that way I want to be able to build the skill to answer writing.
Anybody else?
Online students also.
And fear of repeating the things. Fear of repeating the things. I mean, already the syllabus is so vast. I'm not feared of that, and also not the nature of the question. Or my speed also is also good. I can attempt 2-3 times the paper, even whatever the paper is. But the question is that again revising this whole year. That is my fear. Exactly. Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other mental block? See, this is a session where we have to just share what we are going through, and that is why we'll be able to find answers to your concerns, right? So anything you want to say?
Ma'am, I was student of Vision in 2024, and ma'am, alongside the studies, I have also taken admission in master's degree. So I got off track in between. I have completed the syllabus, but I couldn't practice it well. So now I'm I'm trying to restart my preparation. In between, I have also given attempt of UPPCS. I couldn't clear it. because I couldn't practice well because of the degree. And now I am thinking that I should at least write some answers, and then again the same question that I could not write answers.
Okay. So, okay.
And in mid of that, what's the plan B if not this?
Okay. Okay. So online questions, I'm just saying it for everyone. So there is this student, Nikhil. He's saying that he is given second times prelims but not cleared. What to do next? There is another student who has said that current affairs manage nahi ho rahe, and monthly magazine karni chahiye ya PT 365 is what he has to do for prelims. This is again one other question which one has to deal with. Monthly current affairs or PT 365, right? Then Ashwini is saying that, ma'am, question is so irrelevant, like from where to prepare? Where to prepare matlab sources or again the restart method, which you now have to see. So these are few of the questions. First, we'll tackle them. Yeah. Hana? Okay. So current affairs we'll cover when we'll talk about it. On current affairs. Right. So coming to first, how the preparation strategy should be with respect to how to start all over again, right? So for that, we are categorizing two kinds of students. One who have not cleared, but they were sure that if one or two questions ho jate, to they would have been in, right? And then there is another category of students who did not clear by a margin, right? So we have to understand these two sets. I am taking for those who just not cleared because of one or two questions. Ma'am will take that how the next preparation strategy should be if one has to restart, right? Now for those who have not cleared but they were expecting, right? That means you are that kind of a candidate who just missed the bus with some very few marks. That means prelims is to be understood from the perspective of selection test, not a rank decider. तो ऐसे अगर आप स्टूडेंट थे तो आपको मेंस के लिए कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए. You have to understand that you would have been given an opportunity to write mains. So feel with the cycle, match the vibe of the cycle. Right. Now, someone has also mentioned about how to do answer writing, right? Assume कि आप mains लिख रहे थे, right? आपके पास 50-55 days थे. How you would have charted out, right? Obviously, you would have given certain kind of due respect to those subjects which you had not studied while preparing for prelims. तो पहले आप उनको target करोगे. You will fine tune your optional. बहुत सारे ऐसे candidates होंगे भी, those who cleared the prelims but they did not think of clearing the prelims. So you cannot give yourself that scope or situation next year. तो अभी time है optionals का. Focus on your optional, make notes. Mains is about revision. Mains is about note making so that whatever strenuous journey it is, ki, you know, every day you have a paper. Just चाहे वो GS हो, you just get 2 or 3 days. It depends on UPSC that how much gap do they give you for optional or GS के बीच में. So you have to have 1-pager notes, right? Now she mentioned that model answers she reads and then she is replicating the model answer. So for that I would tell that, you know, there is this way of learning things. How do you learn things? When you understand it. ठीक है, उस पे भी हम आएंगे कि कैसे पढ़ना चाहिए. But just to give her an example on answer writing, not in terms of how to write answer, but how to read for answer writing. Obviously, you are given certain kind of models. You are given certain kind of templates. You are having some or the other content. How to write it in your own words? This is where the question is, because ultimately आपको वहाँ पर लिखना है आंसर, खुद लिखना है. And you can't rote learn every model answer. तो आपके लिए reading and understanding is very, very important in your own language. There is this organic way of reading things. Let's say, just giving you an example, right? I have just picked up one very simple example of 1857 mutiny. ठीक है? What should be the flow? क्या है ये? Revolt है, mutiny है, movement है. Yes, this is what it is. ठीक है? So obviously, you have to have this understanding that what kind of nature of this revolt, mutiny or movement is. वो डिसाइड करता है क्वेश्चन कैसे आएंगे एंड हाउ यू हैव टू राइट. You all mostly have this habit of writing what you have read. Exam is about expression of your own understanding. ये हमेशा बात याद रखना. In school days or in college days, we are habituated to replicate or reproduce what we have read. But ये exam है personality का, where you are checked at different levels in terms of understanding. Prelims के लिए your analytical and understanding of concepts is checked through questions. और mains में it is checked through expression. राइट तो जब तक आपको खुद एक टॉपिक नहीं समझ में आएगा, व्हेन यू आर नॉट इन दैट कैपेसिटी टू समराइज दैट टॉपिक और एक्सप्लेन, यू विल नेवर बी एबल टू राइट इट इन योर ओन वर्ड्स. राइट तो दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, द फ्लो ऑफ द टॉपिक. तो नेचर क्या है, इश्यूज क्या थे, रीजंस क्या थे, इम्पैक्ट क्या था, सच काइंड ऑफ dimensions is what you have to start seeing in a topic. Prelims के लिए prepare करते करते what happens usually is that you are just seeing the facts. So when you see the facts, for mains, those facts have to be expressed. That is what you have to practice. This is how you can manage this gap of reading from prelims perspective and put it in the form of expression and analysis and dimensions. So model answers is just for reference. UPSC mains is checking your understanding and expression. क्योंकि आप rote learn नहीं कर सकते हो. Yes ma'am, if you want to add. नहीं? So this is what you have to do. Right? Anything which anyone wants to ask online with respect to answer writing or mains, or how to convert facts into, prelims understanding into mains. This is how you do it.
Student is asking how to complete the syllabus well. Not confident even after foundation. Notes are not aligned with mains format questions. So if you feel your notes are not aligned with mains, okay, so this is the query that the student also has.
Okay, so note making for mains, again for every subject is having its own style of expression, its own type of vocabulary, its own type of keywords and approach. ठीक है, तो अगर हम history की बात करते हैं, it is more static, factual in terms of what has happened. So not too much of analytical thinking is required, because you can't undo anything that has happened. What you can do is that you can always assess the impact or the legacy which that historical event has or can be seen in the future. समझ में आ गई ये चीज़? Now coming to paper 1 के other subjects, geography is more event based, conceptual. है ना, Geetika ma'am can add in to geography and environment. So geography is more event based, फिर process है, phenomenon है, right? उसमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा your conceptual clarity will be asked. How things are happening. An interdisciplinary approach could be that they can add the dimension of climate change in it, right? Or the impact of that disaster or that process of geography on agriculture, lives of people, economy. So every subject has its own essence, beauty. वो समझना है. Similarly, society पे questions कैसे आएंगे? Impact पे. Right? So understand these finer nuances. Economics, again, impact. Again, concepts. Right? So see the UPSC preparation in the most integrated manner. Problem aati hai when you are only stuck in the cycle of prelims and you don't want to come out of that. Why? Because prelims gives you the opportunity to write mains and not the other way around. So prelims becomes such a important step that you do not ever see the wholesome or integrated or interdisciplinary approach which is required for this examination. Yes, so science and tech ho gaya, environment ho gaya. So all these subjects have its own thing, right? So make notes accordingly. Understand PYQs, trace the PYQs, analyze them, and you'll understand what all dimensions are to be looked into or considered. There are already strategy videos on our YouTube channels on different main subjects. You can watch that to understand. अगर कोई lost feel करता है, watch online, strategy videos for that. ठीक है? Strategy videos. Yes. 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 Take.
So basically, ma'am has just explained that we need an integrated approach, right, for clearing this exam. Let's see what are the different approaches, or you can say what. Now, since all of us here are already introduced, well understood the examination, we have seen multiple PYQs multiple times, prelims as well as mains. We know the subjects, we know the drill. We need to fine tune our strategy for the next, let's say, 7 to 8 months. Bare minimum. I'm again assuming that January or February onward, you will again start feeling the pressure of prelims examination. Correct? By that time, this year, let's start it. Let's keep it different from what we have been doing earlier. Earlier, we used to focus till December, we used to focus on mains, we used to focus on answer writing, optional, XYZ. This year, let's target that some subjects of the prelims examination are tackled way beforehand, right? Before December this year. So that the pressure, once you enter 2027, the pressure in January, February and March is much reduced. And those core subjects which you have already practiced them enough number of times. Okay? So let's see how that is roughly going to work. Okay, so this is a list of the subjects that we see, right, generally in UPSC. The core subjects that we know of is political governance, history. History can be divided into ancient, medieval, and modern history. Then geography, you have economy, environment, science and tech, current affairs, and culture. Okay. Now, out of these subjects, if you had to classify 4 subjects according to you, which are the rock solid foundation of this examination, whether from prelims or mains point of view, what would it be? What will be those 4 subjects? Polity, geography, history, environment, economics. Let's say 4 or 5 subjects. These are the 5 rock solid subjects which will never go out of fashion, which will always be there in this exam, whether it is prelims or mains. Only the nature of the questions will change. Okay? Which means, what do you need in these 5 subjects? In these 5 subjects, you need very solid concepts. Number 1. That means we have to brush up our static portion. Now, how do you brush up your static portion? Number 1. If you have already attended any classes anywhere, including in Vision, go and revise your class notes. Why I'm saying this is, first thing for these 5 subjects, we will revise our class notes. Second source, once your class notes are done, how do we revise our class notes? How do we revise class notes? We will not just read them. We will mark or underline or highlight the keywords written in those class notes. If there is a definition, for example, if the definition of GDP has been given to you in the class, you will identify the keywords. That is, GDP is the total sum of goods and services, value of all goods and services produced by a country in a given year. So you know the word important is value of goods and services produced by a country in a given year. So you should know what are the important words. This is in a way your mains preparation only. This is in a way answer writing only. So that whenever you are writing an answer, and if you are required to, let's say, talk about GDP, you can start your answer with the introduction of GDP. You give this definition there, correct? So first is highlighted class notes where you know what word you have to pick. Next, when you're reading your class notes, some sort of extra information in the form of data, like what is the recent infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, or let's say geography, for example, you could have concepts like different kinds of volcanoes, examples of different volcanoes. Wherever you have specific information, this becomes important from prelims point of view. So we make a P there, right? You make a P around your notes and put a circle around it. So you know this is from prelims point of view. I have to prepare this from prelims perspective, the specifics. There is the generics for your understanding. There is the words, keywords for your means, and examples, data, etc. Specific points for your prelims. So once your class notes is done for these 5 subjects, you will feel a lot more confident. Now immediately see, you don't have to start your complete all 5 subjects and then start practice. No, we can do it parallelly. Alright. For that, for example, I can show you we have the Lakshya integrated program. If I can talk about this in detail, this is the Lakshya integrated mains cum prelims program that we have this year. So these are some of the features. I can show you the timetable that has been developed in this. First week, right, you have polity, geography. So they are alternating between 2 subjects in the first few weeks. Polity, geography. And for each of these, then tests will be done. Tests will be done in the form of, you will have PYQs also. You will see, so if you have read your polity notes, do your PYQs of polity there and then. Then attempt a test both on MCQ format as well as mains format there and then. Okay? So the problem is how we space our practice. Generally we say कि यार मैं पहले 4-5 subjects पढ़ लूँ उसके बाद I will start writing tests October, November, December onwards. No. Your test practice is a part of your revision. Okay, so that has to go hand in hand. So this is the good timetable that you can follow. So for example, geography, then you can, probably do some practice test. You can do some answer writing.
Even current affairs is there.
Current affairs can go on parallelly. Current affairs to jana hi hai parallelly. No matter what you are studying, whether you are studying for optional, whether you are studying for ethics, essay, no matter what you are doing, current affairs is your constant companion in this preparation. All right. So the idea is these 5 subjects, let's go back to these 5 subjects. These 5 subjects you pick up in what order and how you want to do. Okay, my suggestion is first pick up the subject which is your weak point, because right now you have time. If you pick up your weak point around December, January, you will be really nervous and then you will feel lost. Pick up your, start with your weak point out of these 5 and go towards your strength. So that even if you are losing out on fatigue and you're getting tired, you get closer to your favorite subjects and then that becomes easier. Okay? So 5 subjects and you make it in a month-wise format, right? So what are you going to do in the months of July, August, September and October? This has to be outlined right away.
Yeah, so basically, see, the thing is that the most important challenge and problem which you all face is revision, right? What you usually focus is that you constantly read. And then one fine day you will think कि मैं अब आज questions practice करता हूँ या करती हूँ. That is a very wrong way. Learning by doing is the most important way to understand yourself. ये जब आप अभी questions पूछ रहे हो that you know what to do, how to do, where you went wrong. Wrong is when you're not learning side by side. You think that you're learning, you are just consuming knowledge. ठीक है, जब तक आप revise नहीं करते, which is very very important pillar, and as ma'am rightly put it, revision is not when you revise the content. Revision is when you revise it through the questions. तभी तो आपको पता चलेगा whether you have that ability, you've understood that topic either from mains perspective or prelims perspective. And wherever there are still gaps, वहीं पर plug in करो. Don't pile up. Don't pile up thinking कि अब money bill पे difficult question आ गया है. Now what to do? Then again you'll go to money bill. No. Solve different kinds of questions on parliament, money bill, the areas which you get stuck in. Right? So instead of reading only, right, focus on practicing through the questions, revisions. That will be an eye opener, right? अब जैसे again, अगर कोई match खेलता है to become a very competent and successful player, does he lose his practice just because he's in the same good form? वो हमेशा 6 चल रहे हैं उनके, तो does he lose out on practice? Does he give up practice? No. Practice is an ongoing thing which makes anyone successful in life. So don't neglect that. हमारे दिमाग में ये conception होता है about this whole UPSC preparation that it is about gaining knowledge. अरे that is one thing, right? And you constantly spend years after years in gaining knowledge, watching videos, right? जब तक आप लिखोगे नहीं, notes नहीं बनाओगे, question solve नहीं करोगे, right there, on that very day itself, you will never be having that sense of completion. You will never be having that sense of achievement. ये एग्ज़ाम आपको इतना demotivate कर देता है, self doubts आते हैं about yourself, that you have to on daily basis assure कि हाँ, I'm on the right track, I've understood. Then this journey will become exceptionally rewarding. There is this whole revisit which you have to do, change. आप लोग पूछ रहे हो ना कि what one should do. This is what one should do. Active learning, continuous assessment, assurance that you have understood the topic. Right? ठीक है? So with respect to this timetable, this, as ma'am also put it, it is very personalized. First, plug in your weaknesses. Because psychologically also this exam is challenging. तो क्यों अपने आप को उस मोड में डालना where you will feel jitters and anxiety. तो plug in your weak areas. Right? Don't give yourself that scope. Don't put yourself into that zone again. ठीक है? तो plug in your weak areas. For mains, again, I feel that prelims and mains should go together right now. More specifically in these next 2 months, mains. क्योंकि अगर अभी आपने optional को नहीं, you are not catching the optional, even if you clear 2027 prelims, again you will be in the same boat. You can't lose out on any attempt considering the fact that just because you missed out or you did not pay attention to mains. बहुत दुख होगा, हो सकता है next year prelims ना हो फिर से, फिर you will blame your destiny, no. So don't lose out on anything, don't give anyone a chance, don't give yourself a chance to say कि मेरा नहीं हुआ. Do the right things, right steps, and that is what you are here for, to understand what are the right steps, right? So have this kind of thinking. So with respect to revision, do you want anything to be talked upon that how one should revise? What we have thought is that there will be an example given to you with respect to how to read your NCRTs and static, and ma'am will take how to prepare current affairs. Right? Let's come on to that where are those gaps which can be plugged in when it comes to reading basic NCRTs, right? So this is the snapshot of your NCRT chapter. Okay? There is this NCRT, Themes in Indian History Part 2. There is this chapter. Let's assume everyone who's there in the class and watching online, read it with me. Stay here, and then only you'll able to understand that from this simple NCRT, mains can also be tackled and prelims can also be tackled. There is this misconception that, you know, mains is content cannot come from NCRT. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Right? This is what I wanted to break in your mind, right? So what is this chapter talking about? That this chapter is on thinkers, beliefs and buildings, right? Stay with the topic. What is the topic saying? That there will be certain thinkers, there will be certain beliefs, and there will be certain thing talked upon the architecture or types of buildings. From which time period? 600 BC to 600 CE. Whatever cultural developments have happened with respect to thinkers, beliefs and buildings is what this chapter is talking about. Read it like this. Don't rush. आप लोग पढ़ते हो जैसे कोई मैराथन है कि मेरे को कंप्लीट करना है चैप्टर. You go to the library, there is a target, or if you're there in the home, there is a target, I have to complete this chapter. Till the time you don't put that tick, आपको fulfillment नहीं आता. Fulfillment वो नहीं है that you've read the chapter. Fulfillment is whether you've understood the chapter or not. Focus on that, right? So what is this telling you about? NCRTs, everyone has to read. Toppers also say that they have read NCRT. Their reading does not mean how usually readings are done. Their reading is that they have understood it. So what is this topic telling you, or page telling you? In this chapter, we shall go on a long journey across thousands of years to read about philosophers and their attempts to understand the world they inhabited, right? These are indicative of enduring influence the thinkers had on people, right? While we will be focusing on Buddhism, it is also important to understand the tradition did not develop in isolation. There have been several traditions, debates that have led to many thinkers or beliefs in this time period. Stay with the feel, message, as if the book is communicating to you. This is your teacher. One form of consuming knowledge is when you see the teacher. One form of consuming the knowledge is when you make book as your teacher, as if the teacher is talking to you. This is what you have to do, which no one tells you. Right? So, talk to the page. Then what does it say? The sources that historians use to reconstruct this exciting world of ideas and beliefs include Buddhist, Jain and Brahminical texts. There are body of material remains which includes monuments and inscriptions. So basically this paragraph is telling you that there is a communication, spreading of ideas, belief and faith through teachers, thinkers and buildings. The material remains. That tells us the source of history. Yes? Then what does it talk about? It talks about how the stupas were built, or the stoops. Right? So what does it say? We have seen Buddhist ideas and practices emerged out of a process of dialogue. तो Buddhism किसी एक event से trace नहीं होता है. Rise of Buddhism is or has happened through a process of dialogue. ये एक question in itself है mains का. Yes.
As you said rightly that we need to ask ourselves from the book, the teacher is teaching. I do that. But the problem is that how to consolidate that page in 4-5 line which gives us scripts.
I'll tell you about that also.
Okay, that is
Okay.
my issue.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
it should not happen page by page. Pehli cheez. It should not happen page by page because every page is giving you one aspect to it. Right? There can be different ways. One can, if one is not feeling comfortable कि मैं पूरा chapter पढूं and then I make the summary, you can go page by page. But first I feel the first reading should be complete. The second reading will let you know the different aspects to it. The third reading tells you how to make notes for exam. तो एक होता है, some people have this habit, अगर आप मेरे से पूछोगे, मैम से भी पूछेंगे अभी हम, वो कैसे पढ़ती हैं. मैं तो पढ़ती हूँ कि I have to have something while writing. मतलब when I'm reading, I have to write something. So Geetika ma'am, how do you read? I तो cannot do without pen and paper. I cannot do. Even if those things which I have scribbled or written, whether it makes sense or can be consolidated in the form of notes does not matter to me. मगर मेरे को pen paper चाहिए. हाँ ma'am, how do you study?
I also need a pen, but my approach is different. I highlight in the book itself. When I read one paragraph, I know by reading from the paragraph what is the important point here. I think from an examiner's point of view. अगर मुझे इस paragraph पे ही question frame करना है, तो what will be the important piece of information? Because generally long sentences have just 2 or 3 points, one paragraph. So I highlight it there and then next time when I'm going for my second or third or fourth reading, I know that this was the key point in that paragraph.
So you can write like this, as ma'am is saying, कि while reading, if you think कि you've got a message that Buddhist ideas and practices emerged out of a process of dialogue with other traditions, this is a question in itself. This is not giving you the answer. This is an idea which has been given to you through these lines. अब आपको नहीं लगता कि इस पे question आ सकता है? बिल्कुल. So this is not a point of prelims fact, but this is a analysis which the NCRT is giving you or any content is giving you. That rise of Buddhism has happened out of a process of dialogue with other religions and faith also. So either you write it like this, mains hai ye. So when you are revising, let's say you are in mains mode or prelims mode, आपकी नजर जाएगी यहाँ पर. So if someone is starting from the scratch, तो ये नहीं होगा. Why? Because you don't have awareness with respect to mains and prelims questions. But definitely, if someone has already spent 1 year, 1.5 years in preparation, they have given prelims, they will be still able to do this. Right? Try to have this in your reading. ठीक है? अब जैसे यहाँ पर लिखा है, Buddhist literature mentions several chaityas, Buddha's life, he was born in Lumbini. ये है facts. That he was born in Lumbini, he has attained enlightenment, Bodh Gaya, he gave his first sermon at Sarnath, he attained Nibbana or death at Kushinagar. These are facts. You write it prelims here or pre here. So that when you are revising for the second time, let's say after 5 days, 3 days or 1 day, you are not losing out your sight from here. क्योंकि आप फिर से NCRT के चैप्टर को रीरीड नहीं करोगे. You are going to be a better version of yourself because you have transformed and gained that kind of knowledge. ठीक है? Right? So that is how we read. अब यहीं पर मैं अगर आपको दिखाऊं, जिस तरीके से टाइटल्स और हेडिंग्स होती हैं, that is also one of the ways to give you the framework. What is the framework? Why were stupas built? हम प्री में क्या फोकस करते हैं? Where are the stupas located? But ये आपको क्या बोल रहा है? Reason behind the construction of stup. So this is the main topic. Why religious buildings or structures were constructed in the very first place? यहाँ से आपको ये information मिलेगी. अब catch is, what are they writing? The tradition of constructing स्तूप has been pre-Buddhist in origin. अभी अगर मैं आपको questions भी दिखाऊंगी ना, you will understand that what looks like mains is now asked in prelims also. That's why ma'am and I are here to tell you this is an integrated approach which you need to have for clearing this UPSC examination. We have made these brackets in our mind कि ये pre है, ये mains है. First you need to have holistic understanding. क्या लिखा है यहाँ पर? Tradition of erecting stoop has been pre-Buddhist in origin, right? What has been mentioned here? Why were stoop built? यहाँ पर आप पैराग्राफ पढ़ रहे हो, आपको पता चल रहा है तथागत is the another name of Buddha. This has been asked in prelims also, right? ठीक है. How were stupas built? ये क्या होता है? ये process है or the steps or some kind of engineering involved. These will tell you the parts of stoop, right? So this is how you have to read your NCRTs. Don't read it the way you always read from the perspective of school or college. You have to use the content to meet the requirements of this examination, whether pre, whether mains or whether the interview, right? फिर यहाँ पर क्या दे रहे हैं? Structure of stoop, right? यहाँ पर एक डायग्राम आएगा, यहाँ पर एक वर्ड लिखा है votive stoop or votive inscription. If you do not know the meaning of the word votive, Google it. But NCRT reading or static learning means that you know every word of it. You understand every word of it, right? ये डायग्राम भी दिया हुआ है, ये भी आप बना सकते हो अपने मेंस के आंसर में. Then they are talking about the early stoop here, right? They have given examples here. Then they are talking about what? Which kinds of stoop? Amravati and Sanchi. इस बारी दिया आपने पेपर prelims का. There was a question on Amravati stoop and there was a line given which has compared Amravati with Sanchi. So if you are reading NCRT and NCRT has also given you a description of what? Amravati and Sanchi. This is the layer which you have to unfold by yourself. एक हो गया what has already been given. So if NCRT is giving you a perspective, you get to know by reading NCRT that Amravati and Sanchi are very, very important. Sanchi, why? Because it is a World Heritage Site, right? And if it has been compared with Amravati, so there is something unique, something magnificent about Amravati as well, right? What have they mentioned? They have mentioned about some archaeologists who have discovered Amravati, right? Walter Elliot, right? So this is what they have done in NCRT, right? अगर मैं आपको एक और चीज़ दिखाऊं, symbols of worship. That means stoop tells you certain kinds of symbols of worship. किसी भी आर्किटेक्चर में सिंबॉलिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन होता है या नैरेटिव रिप्रेजेंटेशन होता है थ्रू इंस्क्रिप्शंस और सम रिटन फॉर्मेट, राइट? सो व्हेन यू रीड दिस you understand that there have been certain symbols which convey certain kind of philosophy or idea about that faith or religion. तो अगर हम यहाँ देखें क्या है, empty seat was meant to indicate meditation of the Buddha. और फिर एक डायग्राम भी दिया हुआ है 4.14 में. यही यूपीएससी ने 2026 में भी पूछा. यस, तो एनसीईआरटी or the static content gives you very rich information which you think that Buddhism है तो हमें NCERT skip कर देनी चाहिए, तो that is a wrong philosophy. अब from the basis of whatever has been given here, there is a question. मेंस का, नॉट यूपीएससी, ये बनाया गया है, जनरेटेड क्वेश्चन है. स्तूप एट सांची वॉज नॉट मियरली अ रिलीजियस मॉन्यूमेंट, it was the product of a royal patronage, guild donations, monastic contributions and popular local traditions reflecting a diverse social base for early Buddhism. Examine this statement with reference to Buddhist stoops. ये क्वेश्चन जनरेटेड है एनसीईआरटी के कंटेंट से. that stoop construction was a mix of all these. Whether you get the answer from it, no. Whether you get the indicative points from it, yes. So that means the message is very clear that there is no one source to complete the process. But NCERTs or static subjects are very, very important. 2016 में ऐसा ही question UPSC ने पूछा. This early Buddhist two-part, while depicting folk motives and narratives, successfully expounds Buddhist ideals. तो NCERT में था ना, symbolic worship भी है और फिर message भी है. So this is what you have to transform in yourself. How do you read? Biggest challenge. How do you consume the content? Another layer. How do you reproduce the same content or knowledge is third layer. Right? So there are 3 layers to this preparation. How you read, you have to fix. What to read, everyone knows. So how pe focus karo. Second, put it into practice through tests, through revisions. And third, get it checked or get the result from it. Right? अब उसी chapter से how UPSC has asked prelims question. Tathagat mentioned था. I am not talking about whether you can solve the whole question or not. I am talking about how the basic NCERTs are to be studied. Right? Tathagat tha. Right? What else? There was a question of UPSC, concept of stup is Buddhist in origin. वहाँ क्या था? Pre-Buddhist. स्तूप were generally a repository of relics, वो भी बताया गया है. Votive स्तूप का भी mention है, वो भी पता होना चाहिए. Right? Third question. With reference to Indian history, Alexander Ray, Longus, Robert Sewell, Walter Elliot were archaeological excavators. Walter Elliot mentioned था NCERT में. This year's prelims question, not 2025, this year's prelims question, what does an empty seat represent in early Buddhist art? कितने questions है? 4 to 5 questions. Mains में भी आ जाता है. तो this is what I want to tell you. Right? Now Geetika ma'am will take it. I am just going to give you another short example of this year's prelims question and how Lakshmikant or basic or your static notes are still relevant. It's about how you consume, not what it is. Right? One second. तो ये आपके लक्ष्मीकांत में आर्टिकल 13 एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है. Right? What is it been mentioned over here? Article 13 में law की definition includes permanent laws which are enacted by the parliament, temporary laws like ordinances, statutory instruments like legal provisions या delegated legislations जो आपके processes होते हैं जैसे bylaws, rules, regulation, notification, non-legislative sources of law मतलब जो कि parliament ने नहीं बनाए हैं, right? That is customs or usage that have been going on from generations to generation is also part of definition of law. Now let's see this year's prelims question. Right? X was addressing a seminar on the meaning of the term law as provided in Article 13 of Part 3 of the Constitution of India. X explained that the meaning of the term law in the Constitution of India was very comprehensive. तो X क्या बोल रहा है? Law की definition is very comprehensive. It included ordinances, orders and even rules and regulation. Y pointed out that the term law also included custom or usage having in the territory of India to which X was not convinced. Right? This question is not checking from what is given. This question is again checking whether you know the definition of law as per Article 13. Right? उन्होंने बोल दिया X का है comprehensive view, but he is not taking into cognizance what Y is saying क्योंकि Y बोलता है कि law में custom और usages भी हैं. ठीक है? अब आपको बस statements पढ़नी है. X is correct in the interpretation of law? Yes. Including the view on non-inclusion of custom? No. X is correct, but is he including custom? No. So is it the correct definition of law? No. The view of Y that law included customs is not correct? It is correct. The views of both X and Y are correct? The views of both X and Y are correct? X का correct नहीं है क्योंकि वो custom को नहीं include कर रहा है. यहाँ पर आता है giving up. सब मार्क कर देंगे यहाँ पर. Why? क्योंकि एक तो फॉर्मेट न्यू था और you have not understood the question, right? The view of only Y is correct. क्या आंसर होना चाहिए? Yes मैम, क्या आंसर होगा? Why? Why only Y is correct? Because X was also not having complete definition of law. He was having comprehensive view, but not the complete definition of law. So as per the definition of law, only view of Y is correct. Right? So this is the power of filling or fixing the gap of knowing, understanding and applying your basic content. आपको पता है आपने ये आर्टिकल 13 पढ़ लिया मगर you have not tested yourself in different formats of the questions. We will be coming up on also different formats of the questions, but now Geetika ma'am will take and she will address current affairs, right? You have any question with respect to NCERT? Yes.
Ma'am, sometimes when I do questions for prelims, I overanalyze the statement and I think it is incomplete and I mark it wrong. But it was correct. But I try to find...
Overthinking.
Yes.
देखो overthinking वाली problem is the most normal problem. But having said that, normal problem है मगर it's not yielding you result, right? Overthinking करना है मगर wrong thinking नहीं करना है. There is a difference. You have to think in this exam, but in some length and breadth. You are not limiting yourself to what the question is telling you. You are thinking from your own mind also, right? पहली चीज़. Secondly, ये overthinking की problem तब tackle होती है when you are sticking to the questions language. वहाँ पर keywords दिए होते हैं, कुछ qualifiers दिए होते हैं, only word लिखा होता है और sometimes they have given some time period and in that context you have to read the question. ठीक है? तो एक तो ये problem हो गई. दूसरी, what you are saying is that you are finding the answer in the first go but because you overthink आप कुछ और mark कर देते हो, है ना? तो इसका मतलब है आपका brain right direction में है. You are not confident whether you are right in the first go or not. वो तभी होता है when you fix your revisions and daily practice the answers or questions. मैंने बोला ना self assurance. ये journey is giving you this feel कि you are not fit. You cannot make it. हम ये बोल रहे हैं you don't give that scope to anyone to say that you can't make it. Every day assess yourself through question. जब आप टॉपिक पढ़ते हो उसका क्वेश्चन कर लो, तभी योर माइंड एंड योर एक्शंस विल गिव यू सेम रिजल्ट. ठीक है? एक तो स्टिकिंग टू द क्वेश्चंस वर्ड्स, सेकेंड अश्योर योर सेल्फ दैट यू आर थिंकिंग राइट. वो साइकोलॉजिकल होता है. मैम विल ऑल्सो ऐड.
Well, thanks ma'am, very nicely explained. So ma'am has told you about NCERT, what are the different examples she has given you. So as we were discussing the source list, the first source that we will thoroughly revise once we restart our preparation has to be our class notes, because if you put your heart and soul into it, you have written them yourself, so it will be easier to do that. The second source will be any standard textbook for that subject. Okay, so for example in history you have your standard textbooks like NCERTs. Geography also you have NCERT. For polity, again, you can pick up any book of your choice. It could be Lakshmikant also. Any one standard textbook. So make a list of all the subjects, especially the top 4-5 subjects that we have discussed. And against each those subjects, write the name of one book. Okay, one book, or let's say a series of books like NCERT Part 1, Part 2. All the books that you will be doing thoroughly again in the next 3 to 4 months. Okay, this target has to be achieved till October. We are right now in June, so July, August, September, October. These 4 months we have to target 4 to 5 subjects of general studies, which includes your class notes and one standard textbook and your optional. These 2 things are absolutely non-negotiable, because by the end of October, if you have done this, you have already handled a major roadblock in your preparation. Correct? So one is that. Now coming to current affairs, because most of you had questions related to current affairs, that wo kaise karna hai. So this is also just one example from NCERT. Ma'am has shown you enough a number of examples. So in environment, there is a chapter in class 12th biology NCERT, 3 chapters rather, from the unit of ecosystems. So ecosystems, UPSC had asked this question, which insect has a unique relationship, and that is the only insect which can pollinate this plant. So the answer is fig, and this diagram or image is given in your NCERT, and this relationship is also mentioned in the text. So this was also a direct lift from your NCERT. So what is the problem right now is not so much that what you're reading, the problem is how you are reading, right? So we need to revise and consolidate these 2 sources, your class notes and one standard textbook for each of the subjects. Now coming to current affairs. Current affairs is something that will always be important, and we don't know when UPSC might give you a paper which is entirely based on current affairs. Even now, if you look at the analysis of current affairs questions, almost 30% questions in this year's prelims examination were directly from current affairs. 40% in mains, your answer writing is also dependent on current affairs, because the examiner is looking for people who can mention recent context, right? If you mention some recent news or some event or some international relations, diplomacy, whatever things have been going on, that gives you an edge in your answers. And that is the edge you want in your answers, 1 or 2 marks in every answer, so that the whole paper you get around 30-40 marks more than your peers. And that is the edge that you will get in mains through current affairs itself. And then of course, interview to hai pura current based. They are going to ask your opinion on the relevant issues, women issues, children issues, anything related to the vulnerable sections of the society, where you come from, issues related to social media, youth mobilization, anything, right? So if this is of course one of the major portions. Now let's understand this current affairs के लिए हमारे पास क्या-क्या sources हैं, right? Let's see it from a student's perspective. A, you have the newspaper which comes to you every day. B, you have some daily compilations, whether it is from Vision or any other organization, right? Some daily compilation comes to you. C, you have your monthly magazine, that means which is a compilation of all the important news and events, analysis that took place in that particular month. And last, you have an annual compilation, which is usually taken in the form of PT 365, which is popular, correct? Now let's understand something, that this examination you cannot sail through just primarily by reading PT 365. PT 365 is a condensed version, is a summary, but you can only understand the summary of something when you have read it comprehensively, okay? So my suggestion to all of you is that if you are doing current affairs, right? If you are doing current affairs, look at this. PT 365, you had around 18 plus linkages. From monthly magazine plus news today, that means students who were reading the monthly magazine plus News Today, they have a better chance. They could do at least 35 questions directly from that. And total connections, including from our digital current affairs ecosystem, the total connections could be made to at least 40 plus questions.
And this is for 2026 paper.
This is this year's paper. Those who think that the paper is very tough and is an outlier, this statistics is for this year's paper. So what does this tell us? This tells us that this is a good summary for which we can rely on summarizing or just going through the topics, that whether I have missed something or not. But you either have to be here or here in order to clear the prelims. You cannot do without this. Understood? So on a daily basis, either you read the newspaper, which in my opinion should be the first and most important thing, reading the newspaper. And when I say reading the newspaper, I don't mean you sit down with the newspaper for 4 hours and read it from cover to cover. No. Just flip the pages. Don't give it more than 1 hour. Okay? Flip the pages, go through it calmly, see what are the ongoing issues, the burning issues, the topics, any important event, international diplomacy, any updation that has taken place in domestic laws, international laws. Basic important points, that's all. And just read a few articles. Students also have this notion that every editorial has to be read. Not every editorial is read. Okay, you have to see the relevance and importance of the editorial, one, with respect to topic, and two, who is the author. If there is someone of very high stature or let's say some very renowned economist, then yes, you must read. But if it is just some other columnist writing about some movie review, it's not relevant, right? We need to understand that. So newspaper reading is like building perspective for your personality development, which will reflect in your interview, which will reflect in the mains as well. All right. And also, so for example, the question on Nobel Prize this year, you remember the question? The question, you could not solve it by reading any compilation. It did not mention the subject, it did not talk about the discovery, simply told you that the person belonged to Great Britain or UK and was working at that time in US. Only a person who has read the newspaper will be able to answer this, because this is how they generally write, that he's an origin from this country, but he's currently working here and he has won a prize for so and so. And what do we work on? We focus on what he has won the prize for. But a person who may have in general just read, उसके दिमाग में कहीं ये memory में etched होगा कि हाँ मैंने ये पढ़ा था. Alright, so newspaper is something that you should do, चाहे उसका रिवॉर्ड कितना कम या ज़्यादा हो, tangible हो या ना हो, आपको दिखे या ना दिखे, आपको पढ़ना है. ठीक है? Supplement your newspaper with at least one daily compilation, preferably News Today, right? So we have a News Today, 2 pages का एक document आता है on a daily basis, or you can do the news analysis which comes on the YouTube channel. Go through that, watch it. It's a very good investment. In 40 to 45 minutes, you can cover all the important news of the day along with the relevance that it has for exams, the important points, analysis, viewpoints, perspectives, सब कुछ उसमें comprehensively is covered. And of course, it is being told by a teacher, right, on YouTube. That makes it all the more easier to understand. Correct? Some questions are also given, so there and then आपका practice भी हो जाता है. So newspaper is your general, for your general knowledge and understanding, perspective building. News analysis or News Today, that is your daily compilation, is actually for gathering facts. And then final revision, that means where one source which you will rely on for checking कि मैंने सब कर लिया कि नहीं, is either your monthly compilation or PT 365. The issue with PT 365 is that you will have to wait for one full year to reach that. Monthly you can do parallelly, so your burden eases out. My preference personally would be monthly magazine, because that way you can see what are the ongoing issues, you can highlight what is important, and from prelims and mains perspective, both is given. So shorts, news in short, everything is given in the monthly magazine itself. Clear? So that is also important.
I would like to add here, with respect to newspaper, I feel that, we are in these times where instant results is what we are seeking for. And newspaper reading is like, you know, it takes so much of time. You are not aware of many things, because for some it is like economy nahi hua hai, for some it's like they are not confident in science and tech, they don't understand certain things. So as ma'am rightly put it, I also agree with that school of thought, and comes from that old school of thought that newspaper is the eye opener for this examination and for overall personality. You don't have to treat newspaper as if you are always going to get something in the form of reward. You also don't know how silently you are being transformed through newspaper reading, right? So this is what you should understand, that not everything will give you that result which is instantaneous. There is something silently happening in your brain. There is something silently happening in the subconscious mind that you are able to grasp and comprehend the language and the text written. आपको सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज इस पेपर में लेंथ का आया था. Why? Because you did not ever think that such long questions could be given to you. So had you been in the practice of reading newspapers for long, or let's say 1 hour, you would have not stopped your reading practice. You know, that's why everyone says that there are certain essentials to this examination. Newspaper reading is one, PYQs is second, and third is revision and assessment, right? So don't think anything that it will give you instant result. Subconsciously your mind is learning many things. There is something called experiential learning, something called intuitive learning, something called that, as she put it, कि हो सकता है किसी को while reading someone would have thought कि यार कितना interesting चीज़ है कि he belongs to this country, then he is that, doing that. So you know, you don't know what will come, and you don't have to also see everything from the perspective of the result also. This is an examination of personality, and that is what you should also think of working towards. Yes. And there is this online student asking for how to read editorials. I think we can cover that in separate section on how to read newspapers. We can make it live again so that everyone can participate. Hana?
Yeah. But generally one has to just see that how it is relevant from the examination point of view. So current affairs, you see there was this question on Strait of Hormuz. Everybody was expecting, in fact, this question, so no surprise here. So that was covered. That was also covered by our All India test series, that where Strait of Hormuz is located. There were many other questions also. So for example, this Interpol notice. This was again in news because last year for the first time Interpol had launched a silver notice and one was sent to India as well. So again, similar question was asked in the test series also, correct? So this is how you have to link current affairs, practice with tests, supplemented with test series, so you know you are picking out on the important information, learning how to apply what you have read in current affairs, and similarly you can solve the questions. Similarly, the question on Dhruv 64, again this question was there. This was also covered in the PT 365. Look, this was covered in News Today on 16 December also. This was also covered by the test series. So these are the three layers that we have to do: static, tests and test series and current affairs. That's all. And we are good to go. Any good important piece of information, you will have 3 revisions if you are going through these 3 layers as ma'am suggested. Okay. Similarly, this question on Bharat forecast system. Again, this was covered in the June 2025 magazine. It was also covered in PT 365. And we also had a question on this in the All India test series. So information, everything is available. The point is the gap between reading and then applying that in the
test,
actual paper. And that can only come with practice. That can only come. Agar aaj up now you have seen that question on Article 13 XY format mein. Now next question again, if we give you on Article 13 in XY format, you will be able to do it better. Why? Because now you have a sense of familiarity. This familiarity will only come with test series, will only come with practice, for which We will be introducing new formats of questions henceforth in our test series also and in the Lakshya program also. Both these programs will be introducing you to different formats of tests. So the question is, how frequently should I be giving MCQ based tests and mains tests?
See, this is a very tricky question. How many? Right? There is this fixation and you are also wanting that number, that magic number. जब हम prelims के mode में होते हैं, we want to know how many number of questions we should target, how many tests we should give, so that it gives us the satisfaction that we will be able to clear this examination. So my point of view is, if you want to ask me, that don't go for number, choose quantity over quality, right? Because if you go by the number, you end up practicing things even which you are good at, right? Which you will always be good at. It makes no sense कि अगर आपके हर बारी, let's say money bill पे questions ठीक होते हैं, तो उस पे आप हर बारी money bill पे question practice कर क्या achieve करोगे, right? So don't fall for number, fall for different varieties, formats. कि let's say if I'm good in money bill, let me practice different kinds of questions on money bill. You know, take the challenge of, you know, going for those questions which are of different kinds than the number. This is what I feel. In fact, in mains also I feel the same thing, that instead of writing on the same topic, write on different dimensions to the topic. Practice on the dimensions than the number. What say, Geetika ma'am? What is your opinion on this?
No, I completely agree. See, we have to understand that different dimensions have to be practiced, different formats. That's our job. Okay? We will give you different dimensions. We will give you different formats in the upcoming programs, whether it is our All India Prelims test series, whether it is Abhyas, whether it is full length tests, whether it is Lakshya. We will be making sure that you are practicing these questions from different formats, and even those formats which UPSC has still not introduced, because we want you to be prepared for the unprepared, for the unforeseen. All right. The second thing is, from your perspective, test practice has to go hand in hand with your static revision. So for example, we charted out that in the next 4 months, we are going to cover only 4 major or 5 major subjects. We will practice tests of those subjects. Now, how you want to access those tests is totally your call. Whether you want to join the prelims test series, whether you want to join the Lakshya program, whether you want to practice through Sandhan, that is totally your call. But this practice has to be done parallelly with your preparation. So if you have read, the advantage of Sandhan, for example, is if you have read a particular topic, all the questions have been in the database, have been given topic, subtopic wise. So pick out the topic, choose the subtopic, finish your static, and from that subtopic itself, practice 10 questions. 10 today, 10 tomorrow, 10 day after tomorrow. That is revision plus preparation in terms of preparing your brain to analyze MCQ, to identify the answer in option A, B, C, D. That is what prelims is all about. All right. So this is totally your call how you want to do it, but this has to go parallelly with your static preparation. So next 4-5 months, we have to finish MCQ practice of your polity, economy, history, and geography or environment, or any 4 subjects, 5 subjects which you think you can manage. Because less done better is much more important than more done in a very superficial manner.
Haphazard way also. You don't have a plan actually. You know, the biggest problem is that the tests come when 1 month has already been done away with. ठीक है, आप 1 महीना पढ़ते हो, उसके बाद टेस्ट देना शुरू हो जाते हो, right? By the time your memory was active, by the time you had understood the finer nuances, they are all go vain. They all vanish from your mind. So there has to be this chalked out strategy of doing things parallelly. This is how psychologists also, you know, tell you that till the time there is not revision done in within 24 hours, You have this tendency of forgetting things. You're not a superhuman, right? You are a human. You are not a machine. So there has to be active learning every day. Practice 10 questions, practice 5 questions or 2 questions. It all depends on person to person. But don't go like this or think like this कि मैं पहले अपना target complete करूँगा of these many chapters and then I'll go for questions. तब तक आप बहुत सारे और चीज़ें learn कर चुके होते हो and it does not help you in the longer run.
And what about optional? Is your optional sorted? As in, at least you have decided your optional? Most of you have? Okay. You've taken classes, prepared notes. Okay. In case you haven't, then this is the right time for that also. Please understand. Because optional will also demand a considerable amount of investment in terms of time. And once the prelim pressure starts, you will not have time to think about the optional. Next year, so just forget it's only about revision. Just pretend as if your exam is in January, both prelims and mains. Prepare like that, so that your major burden is off in the next 6 months and you're ready to just revise in 2027. 2027 is all about revision. Anything new, anything unprepared for, anything which scares you has to be done right now. All right. And speaking of that, we'll also talk a little bit about your daily schedule. What you do on a daily basis reflects in your answer scripts, reflects in your performance. Most important thing is consistency, which time and again everybody has told that 6 to 8 hours of study every day doing consistently is far more important than 12 hours today and 0 hours tomorrow. We don't want that. Which is why it is absolutely essential and critical that you have a good, easy, relaxed timetable on a daily basis. If you do not have a relaxed timetable, you're putting yourself under pressure, then you will not be able to sustain. So generally, I believe you should have about 8 to 10 or 6 to 8 is also okay as long as it is quality study time.
If someone is having classes, I feel
exactly
6 to 8 hours is
exactly.
fine.
So if you also have classes, so 6 to 8 hours of self-study is more than enough. It's quite a lot actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you need to give some time to your MCQ practice on a daily basis. This will help your brain retain the muscle memory. Remember, your brain is a muscle. The more you train it for something, the better it gets at it. So please train your brain for MCQs. Every day you need to practice at least 20 MCQs so that your brain is in that mode of churning out the answer. And similarly, another 2 to 3 or at least 4 answer writing. Mains ke answers roz likhne hi likhne hai, no matter what. So create a ritual for yourself when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it. I have a timetable, which is like a tentative timetable. You can, of course, schedule it according to your needs and preferences. So around 6:37, whenever you want to wake up, after that, just give yourself at least 40-45 minutes. Now, this is one thing that is very counterintuitive, that most students feel that the first thing they should do in the morning is read the newspaper. I have a very different approach. Because once you open the newspaper, you tend to get lost in the newspaper. You don't even realize 2 hours have gone away and there is nothing concrete output that has come out of it. So newspaper has to be for later in the day. If you have woken up, you are already fresh, you're raring to go, the first thing you should do is give a dedicated 2-hour sitting session on any one subject of your choice. Preferably something which you find tougher and boring. Because your energy levels are relatively high, you will be able to perform and understand it easier. Okay? So first thing is, your first session would be on a core static subject which you find difficult. Source, starting with your class notes, going to NCERT or the standard textbook. Then take a break for your breakfast and daily ablutions. And then session 2, have a second session. Again, the duration of second session can be a little less than the first session. If first session was 2 hours, you can keep your second session as 1.5 hours, right? Don't put yourself ki 2 ghanta, 2 ghanta, 2 ghanta. It's not possible. You're after breakfast, you might feel a little tired also, lethargic. So 1.5 hours is good enough. Then again take some break. After this break, you are not going to start something new. You have to revise what you did in the morning in the 2 sessions. So again for half an hour, 45 minutes, go back to what you 2 sessions you did in the morning, right? Again, just flip the pages, see the keywords, so that whatever you have read is concretized in your brain there itself. Correct? Revision strategy. Then you have your lunch, accommodate some time for classes also, wherever and however you want to fit in. And then after your lunch, after you're sleepy, you're drowsy, everybody is sleepy and drowsy, people are smiling. After lunch, everybody is sleepy and drowsy. That is the right time to pick up the newspaper. Because a newspaper will not make you sleep, because there is something or the other that will keep you interested. And that is also the time when you want to have a leisure reading. You don't want to underline and you don't want to remember facts and everything. So after lunch is a good time to just, go through the flip through the pages of the newspaper.
What if I sleep?
और अगर नींद आ जाए,
How do I finish off my newspaper?
अगर नींद आ जाए, my answer to this question is अगर नींद आ जाए तो सो जाओ. भाई please, why are you torturing yourself? You want to appear in 2027. तुम्हारे आज 1 घंटा जागने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. नींद आ रही है, आधे घंटे का, 45 मिनट्स का, 1 आवर का नैप लेके सो जाओ.
आएगी ना लंच के बाद. इफ यू आर मेकिंग मी रीड न्यूज़पेपर, मुझे तो आ ही जाएगी.
मैम नींद तो आ जाएगी, ठीक है, सो जा, लेकिन उसके बाद रात का तो खराब हो जाता है ना. हाँ, वो उसका सॉल्यूशन.
That's a very pertinent point, and as a mother also I can understand if I make my toddler sleep in the afternoon, फिर वो रात को 12-1 बजे तक नहीं सोता है, and then the whole morning routine goes for a toss. Yes, this is human nature, that happens. So it is best 2 ways. या तो आप एक बहुत short nap ले लो 10-15 minutes, which will not hamper your night routine so that you sleep on time. And if that is also not the case, अगर आपको सोना नहीं है, if you want to, it's just a matter of 3-4 days. See, your biological clock, the beauty of our biological clocks is that it adjusts very easily. Correct? So even if you don't want to sleep, don't want to take a nap, then do some leisure reading or leisure watching. Watch documentary. Watch some nice documentary on Netflix, or maybe some education-based video, or you can watch a debate on Rajya Sabha TV, or you can hear some news on All India Radio. Anything, something interesting, right? Or that is a time when you actually want to bhagao your need. That is the right time to call your parents. दिन में phone कर लो, talk to a friend, क्या चल रहा है, what's happening, ये पढ़ा वो पढ़ा. Everybody needs a little bit of social and human connection. It's just not, you're not here a prisoner, correct? So have that window for all this, here and there, whatever you want to do, social interactions. And then in the evening, again, your body will be such, again it will start picking up pace around 5 o'clock, correct? So then again have 1 session. 3 sessions a day is more than enough at this stage. तुम अभी भी 3 sessions की भी, I'm giving you an open challenge. तुम मुझे ये भी करके दिखा दो, it's a big deal. You cannot do it. It's easier said than done.
And
this is an ideal scenario.
Classes. Along with the classes, it's unimaginable.
Along with the classes, all the more difficult. So you have to see how you have to do it, but you have to keep the order right. The order has to be correct. Order cannot be that you are spending 3 hours or 5 hours in the morning on newspaper, फिर थक गए, फिर पढ़ने की क्षमता नहीं है, फिर सो गए. Because आपकी जो दिनचर्या है, it is according to the sun. The sun will not change its timetable. Correct? You have to see what works best for you at what point in time. दोपहर को नींद आ रही है, 2 आंसर लिख लो, देखो कैसे नींद भागती है. Attempt 20 questions, तुम्हें एकदम reality check मिल जाएगा. That's the right time to do all these things. So you should know what your fillers are. Atlas खोल लिया, maps देख लिए, right? कुछ quick revisions कर लिया, monthly magazine खोल ली, news today खोल लिया. You need to know what has to be done on a daily basis and relatively keep your order the same. 1 hour, 2 hour by the clock जाने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. It's not possible. You cannot do that every day. Every day is different. Some day some emergency is there, कुछ हो गया, so you cannot follow that. Okay, But what has to be done on a daily basis is very important. And have a tracker sheet. What is a tracker sheet? No idea. Okay, tracker sheet basically looks like this. I'll erase this. So for example, it looks like this. What do I want to do on a daily basis? So it has 30 rows like this. Okay, ऐसे कर करके 30 rows होते हैं. So what I did, read newspaper. And then there are 30 circles around it. Like this. ठीक है? तो ये तुम 30 का नहीं, तुम खुद 10 days का बना लो. You don't want to do it for 30 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. आज मैंने न्यूज़पेपर किया, इसको सर्कल कर दो या टिक कर दो. ठीक है? Then next thing is, next you want to do, you want to let's say see news today. Okay? Then यहाँ पे तुम्हारे 10 circles. Similarly, you can talk about your session 1. What did I study? अब तुम्हें लिखना भी है तो you draw columns here. You can draw this yourself. It doesn't take more than 10 minutes. And यहाँ पे तुमने आज session 1 में क्या पढ़ा? History. ठीक है? Then session 2. तो तुम्हारे 10 days, and this is very important because ये तुम्हारी नज़रों के सामने रहता है. Our memory is very pathetically poor. हम एक दिन पढ़ते हैं, हमको लगता है हम 4 दिन से पढ़ रहे हैं. That's human nature. You know, we tend to over-exaggerate our own efforts. जब ये reality सामने रहती है ना, जब दिखता है कि कौन सा circle actually है, और do it honestly, ये नहीं कि किया नहीं और ज़बरदस्ती तुमने mark कर दिया. Do it honestly, and then you can see in front of you कि यार मैंने कितने दिन actually session दिया, कितने दिन history पढ़ा, कितने दिन economy पढ़ा. When you have these bubbles filled up in front of you, they don't lie. And there you get a reality check. अगर तुमने 10 में से 5 दिन पढ़ाई की है तो तुम्हारा एफर्ट तो वैसे ही 50% है ना. देन वाई ब्लेम यूपीएससी? तुम्हारा टारगेट है कि 10 में से कम 7 से 8 दिन पढ़ाई होनी चाहिए, तब तुम यूपीएससी को ब्लेम कर सकते हो फॉर अ बैड पेपर. ओके, सो हैव अ ट्रैकर शीट राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू ऑन योर वॉल टू सी वेदर यू आर एक्चुअली डूइंग समथिंग और नॉट. One is the notion कि यार मैंने बहुत मेहनत की, and the other is actually doing the मेहनत. Because hard work does not make you tired. Hard work makes you happier. It makes you more content. The problem with this industry or with this exam is most of the people are not working hard, and without working hard they are tiring themselves out because they are wasting precious years of their life. And then they want to blame a third institution for putting up a bad paper.
And what about those series of strenuous sessions in the last, when prelims come,
The marathon
students
videos.
feel that, you know, once we attend those sessions or when we do PYQs खोलकर देखे ही नहीं पूरे साल, and then you end up thinking that you will understand the nuances of answer writing, you know, solving different kinds of questions. That will not happen. It is not a one-time effort. This is a whole journey of, you know, coming out with flying colors, and that will happen only when you are real to yourself. This is what you need to have on daily basis. मैंने तो कोई नहीं देखा सक्सेसफुल कैंडिडेट ऐसा जो हो जिसने ये सब ना किया हो. These are reality checks of being successful in any field. It does not come by chance. It does not come by chance. It comes from the effort. Effort has to be in the right direction, one thing. Has to be in the right way of doing things is second thing. Direction हमें पता है, NCERT पढ़नी है, PYQ सॉल्व करने हैं, डेली आंसर राइटिंग करनी है, but are you actually doing it with the intensity this exam demands? Probably no. That is what ma'am is saying, that we are in this wishful thinking that we are reading, we are doing, but how much? How much? That is the big question, right?
So yeah, so you last year, like this year itself, before the prelims, we had a marathon of 4 sessions on species in news. Some of you, I know, attended all 4. Now imagine doing that in 4 sessions, and now imagine doing the same thing at ease right now. How much would be, and I can proudly say that some questions were hit from that sessions, right? So imagine doing that leisurely now versus doing that in haste then, which is easier, which is more better. This is, of course, this is better. But that consistency has to be there. वो जब तक तुम ट्रैकर नहीं बना के अपने साथ ऑनेस्ट रहोगे, you will keep thinking that I am putting in a lot of effort, but actually that effort is not there. है ना? एक होता है mental burden, एक होता है actual burden. Actual burden इतना नहीं है, mental burden is more. All right? Okay, so yes, this is what we have discussed. The rule is that study less topics, revise more. Any topic which any student who studies 100 topics and revises them 5 times is far more valuable than somebody who's doing 150 or 200 topics. Okay, that's the key point here in this preparation. And the setback is you have 2 choices. In your career, in your life, right now you are at crossroads where you have 2 choices. You can either choose to be this person and you can say that I have failed another attempt, I'm a loser, mera kuch nahi hoga, forget about UPSC, I need something else, UPSC is luck based, I cannot do it. You can either blame the paper and come out of the race and then choose another life of your own, which is okay. Or you can give it another dedicated, honest attempt and make sure that you see your dreams come into reality. So या तो option ये है या फिर ये है. That is the only truth which is there. No matter what is the paper, करने वालों ने किया भी है, लोग तो select हुए ही हैं, जिसको होना है वो तो हुआ ही है ना. तो then why should we blame some process or some institution? Why not introspect? Look within.
Yes, I completely agree with this. Will Virat Kohli ever say कि मुझे गंदी ball दे दी, इसलिए I was not able to perform? I got a bad ball, that's why I couldn't, make runs. Would he blame the bowler? Who would he blame? It's not about actually blaming, This is not blaming. This is self-realization. Why are you putting this word also? Blame. You are not at fault. You are not at fault. Neither the bowler is at fault. Neither UPSC is at fault. UPSC wants to select few candidates. The, candidates they want to select, and it is their way of asking questions. They want only few of them. So, analyze, execute. Execution is what we are failing at. Right? We are not analyzing the mistakes. We think that we are doing it. But actually, are we doing it in the right way or not? Are we doing it in consistent manner or not? This is the consistency, disciplined effort the exam demands. That is why, back to back mains papers are kept. Very challenging. If you are asked to write 2 papers, write 3 hours each, your mind gets exhausted. But did you ever practice it? No. In the whole year, you will never practice this. You will only practice when you get the chance to write mains, and that too, abhyas. Bhai, kar lo, dekho, feel karo. How does it, feel? When the prelims is approaching, you only come to write abhyas. Why not writing tests at test centers? Why did you leave that habit? Who told you to leave that habit? Who told you? Practice. वो नहीं होगा, आपको लगेगा आप घर में बैठकर अपने नाइट सूट में कंफर्टेबल रहोगे और पढ़ाई करोगे till the time you don't actually come to the center, till the time you don't actually write it, you will not be able to understand when do you overthink. Overthinking एग्जाम में नहीं होती है. एग्जाम में तो स्कोप ही नहीं है ओवरथिंकिंग का, पढ़ लोगे पेपर वही काफ़ी है. Overthinking होती है when you are solving questions at leisure, when you are comfortable. Exam does not make you comfortable. Do you overthink? You don't have the time to overthink while writing prelims, the actual paper. Overthinking only happens when you write it at home. And then it all creeps in and becomes your habit. You have to gear up yourself. You have to do the things which this exam requires. Solve tests not at home, in the home environment. Matlab home environment. Ki there is no stopwatch, there is no this 2-hour window. If you are attempting the test at home, switch off your mobiles. Tell your family that you are not available for these 2 hours. And then write the test, then solve the test. Then you see that do you overthink or not. आपकी habit बन गई और वो habit is not yielding you result. Am I right, ma'am? Yeah, any questions? Good that you are attending this session with a pen and paper and writing down the things which you can look forward to and correct. So we wish you all the best. Stay curious, stay informed about the right things, the right way. If you want any kind of help, Vision IS is always there. There is this wellness initiative also which Vision IS is running, which gives that psychological support also. Right? Mentors or teachers तो हमेशा available रहते हैं, but this psychological well-being is what also Vision IS is focusing upon, because that's very, very important in this exam environment. Right? So all the very best. We wish you all the best. Yes, have a good day.
100 case studies or random practice, what actually improves your ethics score? Many aspirants believe that solving a few case studies occasionally is enough. But UPSC ethics is not a paper where improvement happens through theory alone. Think about it. Can you become a better cricketer by watching matches? Can you build strength by reading about workouts? Of course not. Performance improves through deliberate practice. The same applies to ethics. Random practice may expose you to a few situations, but consistent practice across a large number of case studies help you identify patterns, improve stakeholder analysis, develop balanced judgment, and build confidence in decision making. That is why quality practice matters more than passive reading. And that is exactly what the Vision IS Ethics Case Studies classes are designed for. With more than 100 ethics case studies, structured frameworks, expert guidance, and continuous discussions, the program helps you develop the practical skills that UPSC expects in GS4. Because ethics becomes scoring not when you read more, but when you learn how to think, analyze, and write better. Join the Vision IS Ethics Case Studies classes starting from 18th June at 5 p.m. For more information, visit our website or call us on the given numbers. Your preparation may look complete, but UPSC Prelims 2026 showed something important. Completion is not the same as readiness. The paper did not just test whether aspirant had read a topic, it tested whether they could think through it. Could they eliminate smartly? Could they connect static concepts with current issues? Could they stay calm when the question was not direct? Could they take decisions under pressure? That is where many aspirants struggle, not because they did not study, but because their preparation stayed in input mode, reading more, collecting more, revising passively. UPSC needs more than that. It needs a preparation system that turns knowledge into judgment. That is what the Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course is built for. Concepts are taught in a connected sequence. Current affairs is linked with static subjects. Tests help you identify gaps before the exam does. Answer writing builds structured thinking for mains. Mentorship helps correct your direction early. Build readiness from the beginning. Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course. Ever wondered what truly separates toppers from the crowd of aspirants? It is not always more study hours. It is the ability to prepare with clarity and continuous improvement. While many aspirants remain occupied collecting resources, toppers focus on a structured approach and consistent refinement. And at the center of this preparation journey lies one crucial factor: mentorship. That is exactly what Lakshya Integrated Mentoring Program 2027 is designed to provide. Starting from 1st June, Lakshya offers a well-defined and mentor-driven preparation framework covering every stage of the UPSC journey, prelims, mains, and interview preparation. Dedicated mentorship support for continuous guidance and strategic improvement. A structured preparation roadmap to maintain consistency and direction. Because preparation becomes more effective when every effort is guided, evaluated, and refined with consistency. To register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.